I've had this mic, but I just realized I could plug it into my phone and use it. It's like the epitome of the century for me. Hi, so welcome to my new little, I guess we'll call it a chatty corner. If you read the title or looked at the thumbnail, obviously you know this video is a November wrap-up, NaNoWriMo wrap-up, Dawn Diaries wrap-up, and also the lessons I learned from November. Because as a writer, aspiring author, whatever you want to call yourself, it's a busy month and it's a huge learning month, in my opinion. It's not just a fun thing you do. There are so many takeaways from it, but maybe that's just me, who knows? But if you are interested, you didn't do NaNoWriMo, or you did and you feel like you sucked at it, or maybe you feel like you did great, but like, what was the point really? Because you could have done that any other month, then stick around and let's hang out. If you watched my last video, I'll link it up in a little card. My last video was the end of November, and yes, this video, technically it is posted. I have posted once a week, but between Monday and Friday, that's like an entire week. So this video is coming out kind of late. If you watched my last video, you know that I finished November with only over 12,000 words. I'll put it somewhere down here, the word count I ended up with. But with that, it's definitely not the highest word count I heard. I heard really, really high word counts, and it's also definitely not the lowest, because I you know, some people only hit, you know, like 500, 1,000, 2,000. And I mean, let's keep in mind, November, and not even just November, starting a novel, a story, a book is daunting, okay? And because of that, you really have to keep in mind that when you start writing, like that first, so some people maybe only hit 500 words. Those first 500 words, maybe even I would say up to like 5,000 words, are so difficult. And I learned that I think whether you're prepared or not, the start of your story is going to be super difficult to begin, because, you know, you've thought about it, right? You've imagined the words in your head. You've probably visualized the movie version of your book, right? You know exactly what you want to happen, but that does not mean that you know how you are going to use words to create that vision. And please realize that this was a huge thing for me, and I feel that I've started tons of manuscripts and I've never finished them because I get stuck in the whatever the middle part is called. Regardless, starting a story is still really hard, and you get lost, right? You can't decide how you want to sound. You can't decide how you want the words to come about. If you're writing in first person, you kind of imagine how you want your person to sound, but you haven't really done it yet, okay? If you're doing third person like I am, I mean, and multi-POV, you're not only establishing kind of a voice for one person, you're establishing a voice for 3 different people. And that makes it really, really difficult to just breeze through your writing to begin with. So the first takeaway I got from November is starting your book, it's a hurdle in it of itself. Who cares about hitting 30,000, 50,000 words? Getting into your story is so difficult, okay? Just like, don't even judge yourself for that. And another point I would like to make is prioritize writing as much as you're willing or mentally can, okay? And I think this is really important with November being essentially a writing challenge month, whether you do it with NaNoWriMo or someone else, or, you know, it is National Novel Writing Month, and therefore all writers assemble, okay? We are all writing in November. It doesn't matter for what or for who, okay? And because of that, I think that we all want to prioritize writing during November. You know, it feels right. It feels like November is calling you. to write those 50,000 words. And to be honest, me being who I am personally, I don't make writing my #1 priority. And that I personally don't think is a crime. Now, is it going to slow down my process? Absolutely. Okay. I only wrote like some odd words in November. Okay. Obviously, I will not finish my book as quickly as other people will. But I know that prioritizing social time is important for me because fairly often during weekdays I'm working full-time, or I am doing little creative projects like this, like filming videos, editing photos, things like that, going to the gym. Like I've said in multiple videos, I am currently in the midst of prioritizing my health and everything like that. So writing is lower on the totem pole, especially, you know, when my boyfriend RT is off. I make sure that we have time to spend together since we are each other's people up here where we live, since we have no family or anything like that. He has some friends that he's met at work, but my other social time is gaming. I hang out with friends when I game, basically. So because of that, I find writing isn't the highest on the totem pole, but when I can dedicate time, I like to dedicate a lot of time. Not to say that that is something that'll work for everyone, and most certainly I wouldn't say it's the perfect situation for myself either. But by me not putting as much stress as I possibly can on writing all the time, when I do write, it's such an enjoyable process for me. So again, this is just to reiterate, decide how much writing is a priority for you and make sure that when you prioritize it, it doesn't become a stressor. Because in the end, you want it to be something that you love. And I think that people get into writing because they really, really love the idea of writing. Sometimes people get into it because they want it to be business, and that is not a crime, girl. Like, make your money, okay? But just know that by doing that, you know, it may be a little bit harder. You know, it may be a little bit more stressful, and it may be a little harder to spend time with the people that you loved and the people that you care about. And again, whatever floats your boat, okay? Me personally, I'm going in a phase of life where I'm trying to be low stress. I would say work is stressful for me, so I try to balance things when I'm not at work. So yeah, this is a learning thing that I learned / also probably just a warning for some people. Love BookTube. I love AuthorTube. I love, and you know what? Love is probably a strong word. Because of the job that I work at, I listen to so much audio. And because of this job that I have now, if I'm not listening to books, I'm listening to YouTube. And it is dangerous how much YouTube I listen to. Okay, so with that, keep in mind that if you do watch a lot of YouTube, or even just a little bit, depending on your capacity, okay, you might end up feeling discouraged if you compare yourself to other people, okay? And this is like I said at the beginning of this video. I only hit 12,000 some odd words, okay? But there were people out there who, one, hit the basic goal of 50,000, okay? People who hit 30,000, which 30,000 was my goal, okay? Did I make it? No, I didn't even make it halfway. Did I finish my first act? Almost, but not quite. That was kind of a goal, was to finish the first act, and here I am. But I mean, I watched videos of, you know, not personally these people, but other people who, you know, left quotas saying that they hit 100,000 words. Okay, saying that they hit 120,000 words. And now I don't know if they had already started it before November and that was their final count of their manuscript or whatnot. But regardless, you are going to be watching people that wrote like way more words than you. And don't get me wrong, there's also people who wrote less words than you, but it still feels like a competition deep down. And you are not going to convince me otherwise, okay? I know that it's not a competition between people, but it's a competition with yourself, okay? Because you measure yourself against all these other people and you judge yourself, whether you mean to or not. And it could be consciously, subconsciously, who knows? And I can feel that way, but I feel that I know my capabilities in that, you know, some of the people I watched, you know, they had no job for the month, which not to say like they were doing YouTube and, you know, writing critiques and stuff. So obviously they were doing a lot more than just had free time to write all month. Okay. But you know, there's a lot of people with different life circumstances, and because of that, they do or do not have availability to write. And again, I'm sure their priorities, it varies between person to person, each case, right? And always keep that in mind. And if you feel that watching YouTube or watching these results or following on social media how many words people are writing and it is stressing you out, then don't do it. Please save yourself some stress and do not do it. Do not even look at it. Even if you think you're not measuring yourself against someone, subconsciously you might be. So save yourself some stress. Really focus on yourself. And as long as the writing feels good to you, as long as you write 20 words or something and you're like, those are the best 20 words I wrote, then like congrats, because that is so many more words than anyone probably, well, not anyone, but than a lot of people have ever written on this planet. Okay. And that sounds crazy, but like, it's probably true. So like, always remember that. Okay. Now this is a very functional thing that I learned from November, and it's probably something that anyone would learn when they're starting writing, not just a challenge where they're trying to hit a bunch of words. But I learned that it kind of is important to have some sort of routine, some sort of practice, okay? And I mean this in that, not that everyone's routine or anything like that has to be the exact same, okay? Obviously, my routine is never gonna look the same as well, not never. Obviously, there's other night workers out there in the world, but I do work a night job, okay? So I work from 6 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. And, you know, because of that, I find that what I was trying to do was, you know, my work days, I kind of fill up all sorts of little things, go to work early, have to get ready for work. You know, I might edit my thumbnail, create my thumbnail, edit some clips, things like that, right? And occasionally I do have time to fit in writing before I go to work. But then, you know, what I was doing is I was cramming on my weekends. So I'm off Fridays and Saturdays. So I was like, okay, cool. Gonna spend all day writing. One of those days, basically. And there was so much pressure to write so many words in like a day, okay? And even though I'm not terrible at writing in long spurts, it is still more difficult, right? Because if you don't get into that flow, like if you're wherever you're at, wherever you're writing doesn't feel right, like the words just aren't gonna flow out of you. So this is kind of a two-pronged problem, right? It's a scheduling thing and it's a creative space thing. And I think they kind of go hand in hand, because depending on how you schedule it, you know, where you schedule your writing, it's going to affect your environment that you're writing in. You know, like the last week of November, I went to the snowboard place that my boyfriend went to, and I basically sat in the bar and I wrote. And honestly, it was a vibe. It wasn't a problem. But oddly enough, I think I wrote a little better there than I have in short little spurts that I've written like before I've gone to work and things like that. So I realized that because I'm such a creature of habit, I think my writing habits should probably be habitual as well. But it's almost important to, if you really want to hit your goal in November, right? If you really want to hit your word count in November, that almost has to be part of your Preptober routine. So anytime you're outlining or world building, probably take the opportunity to use that to really create your creative space. Okay, whether you like decide if you like writing in your office, decide if you like writing in your bed, decide if you like going to a coffee shop. Tons of people love doing that, right? I think coffee shops come in handy because it creates a space of accountability. Do you want to be that person just perusing the internet instead of doing something practical? while you're at a coffee shop. Me personally, no, I could never. I feel like I feel the same way when I hit the treadmill at the gym, right? I go so much easier on myself when I hit the treadmill here at the apartment because if no one's watching me, I'ma go easier on myself. But when I'm on the treadmill at the gym, you better believe I'm gonna be making myself look like I'm working my booty off, okay? So accountability helps a lot. And I wouldn't take that as a bad thing, right? Like that people are judging you. I don't think it's that you're afraid of people judging you. I think it's afraid of you looking at these people who are being accountable and you are not. You know, take that with a grain of salt. You know, it could be all sorts of things, but I think whether you know a person or not, they still help with your accountability for yourself. So that's a whole tangent, but again, create your space and create your time so that you can reach your goals if you are very determined to hit those goals. And now I just want to thank you for being here, for watching me hold this awkward little mic. That is clearly not, it's a mic from a desk that I took off of my mount because it's for my gaming setup. But it works, am I right? So thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching this wrap up with me. Like I said, you know, I feel like, and I'm so sorry I say like so much, but I was proud of what I came away with in November, okay? And don't get me wrong, do I know deep down I could have done more? Absolutely. I could have done more. But am I so happy that I started my book? Yes, I'm so happy because this, after, you know, attempts that I've done, you know, back in like high school and stuff like that, and I haven't written in a while, okay? You know, I had this ongoing Word file for forever and it's morphed into like 3 different versions, okay? And I would say this is another version, but it's a very complete version. And I'm so happy I'm starting it. I'm so happy I am writing it because I think it's going to be the real deal. I think I'm going to finish it and it's going to get out there somehow, okay? I'm not expecting huge and great things about it, but it feels really nice to be writing again and to feel like it's like a real project to me. And not that I have tons of subscribers or anything, but I think it's so cool that I get to share this whole thing with you. And I hope you feel comfortable enough to share it with me if you are doing the same thing. And yeah, so November for me, it wasn't perfect, but it was still great. And I hope that that's how your November went too. And if you haven't started writing your story and you need help planning, I'll put it up here. I did make a video. It's kind of long, so sorry, but it has all of my Notion templates on there that I use to do my world building, and they are not perfect by any means, but they are free. So I hope maybe those come in handy if you need some help getting into it. But yeah, so if you have a current writing project, please comment it down below. If you liked the video, leave a like, and if you didn't, I'm sorry, and I'll see you later. Also, per usual, I forget my intro. So hello, I'm Kay and Wade. Oh, hello, I'm Kay and Wade. I am writing a sci-fi fantasy story. Come along with me.